of the week. NBA Eastern and Western Conference Finals are set. You got a game 7 tonight with the Vancouver Canucks at Edmonton Oilers. Then you got the Rangers and Panthers starting the Eastern Conference Finals there. You got the golf over the weekend as Xander Schauffele finally breaks through and gets himself a major. And then you have the National Football League. Would someone please explain to me why Rashee Rice of the Kansas City Chiefs is able to go to work? Like, don't you think that based on his offseason, he should be suspended indefinitely or put on an administrative leave or whatever you want to call it? I mean, how is it that that guy, with all of his awful misdeeds in the offseason, is allowed to go to work? Do you think you'd be allowed to go to work if you had been driving 119 miles an hour on a Dallas freeway, causing a chain reaction accident where there was bodily injury? Then you leave the scene of the accident, you just take off. Then a incident that's still being investigated from 2 weeks ago, an assault at a Dallas nightclub at about 3 a.m, which again, that is still an ongoing investigation. Do you think that maybe, just maybe, the Kansas City Chiefs would say, or the NFL would say, hey, you're being put on administrative leave? But don't know. It's just unbelievable. Seriously. Incredible. Speaking of incredible, how about the Timberwolves? I got to tell you, I thought it was done. I thought after I saw Jokic carve up the entire Minnesota defense in Game 5, I thought it was done. I didn't think there was any way in the world Minnesota could win 2 games. They're down 20 yesterday, 20. And they come back and they get the W. That was impressive. I mean, I got to give them a lot of credit. And that's not just Anthony Edwards. I mean, I look at, what their bigs do. I look at what Mike Conley does and other. I mean, I'm very impressed. So now we got Minnesota and Dallas, and then you have Indiana. Here's another question I have for you. Assuming you're a Kings fan, and I know a lot of people on this stream are, what's it like watching Tyrese Halliburton lead his team to the Eastern Conference Finals? Like, is that painful? Are you happy for him because, he's such a good professional and a good guy? Does it make you wish the Kings had not traded him? I'm just wondering, where are you at with that? Again, it was a trade that worked out for both teams. Sacramento got better. Indiana got better. But secretly, do you wish that Halliburton was running the Kings instead of De'Aaron Fox? And again, that deal wasn't on the table, so it's not like you traded the wrong guy. Indiana did not want De'Aaron Fox for what they were trying to do. So I'm just wondering how you look at that. Do you look at it as, are you happy for him? Are you, I don't know. To me, again, it's a deal that worked out for both teams. Worked out for both teams. So, you look at the, I don't want to say it's a Cinderella run for the Knicks, but based on how many players were out of the lineup, with Randall getting hurt in the middle of the year, Anunoby, who give that guy a lot of credit for trying to play, but you just could tell it wasn't going to happen. Robinson, then Brunson breaking his hand in the game yesterday. That's pretty amazing what the Knicks accomplished this year. It's always next man up, right? That's the mantra, next man up. Pretty incredible what Tom Thibodeau did with the Knicks. And for those that are criticizing, Tibbs for playing his guys too many minutes, I mean, that had nothing to do with Julius Randle's injury. That had nothing to do with Brunson's injury. I mean, had nothing to do with Robinson's injury. Just bad luck, So, I think the Kings beat the Timberwolves twice this season, go figure. Yeah, they also lost to New Orleans 6 times, lost to Houston all 3 times. So go figure that too. It doesn't make sense, Dave. It just doesn't. I mean, I'm with you on that. It is. They handed Minnesota their first home loss this year. And then in the second game, Edwards didn't play, if you remember, right? So he didn't play in the second half of the second game. So that was, part of it. But yeah, I'm with you on that. I really am. Patrick says, I give Anunoby a lot of credit. He's a free agent now, took a risk by playing. I give him a lot of credit too. Shows you a lot, I'm happy for Halliburton. Both teams benefited from this trade. I would agree, but I guess the question I have, Halliburton is not even in his prime yet. And if he were to lead his team to a championship or two and be a perennial all-star and be that guy, like a franchise guy, would you evaluate the trade differently? I guess we don't know. I'm asking hypotheticals, and you know how much I hate hypotheticals, so I should criticize myself for asking that question. But it is something that I was just wondering, how Kings fans feel. But both teams did benefit. Both teams did benefit. Hey, I want to let you know that coming up at 8 o'clock tonight, I'll be right back here with Rhino in Sacktown. We will have our Monday evening scrum show. So we'll talk about this and a lot of other things, John says, I have no ill will towards Halliburton. I wish he was on our team, but that's not, and nothing you can do about it. Yep, I would agree. Kings traded the wrong guard. Sad face. Again, the Fox, Indiana wasn't going to make that deal if it did not include Tyrese Halliburton. So you could make the argument that they could have waited and found another team to trade with, such as Siakam. I'm just throwing hypotheticals out there again. I mean, listen, you can't really even answer the question right now, because right now the deal clearly looks like it was a trade that made both teams better. But we may have a completely different outlook on this trade 2 years from now, 4 years from now, 6 years from now. We could be sitting here 5 years from now saying that's one of the worst trades in Sacramento Kings history. I know that's hard to fathom right now, but you could. And conversely, you could say, gee, that's one of the best trades in Sacramento Kings history. It's a little challenging right now to make those comments because it's only been 2.5 years, but here's what I do know. Since Sabonis came to Sacramento to play with Fox in 2.5 seasons, 3 postseasons, the first one wouldn't count because the Kings weren't really a playoff contender. The Kings have 3 playoff wins. All right. Here's one from Zachary. I'd still take Fox over Hallie for the next 7 years. You all need to stop hating on Fox because he had a bad year. Well, first of all, I don't hear anybody hating on Fox. That's number one. Number two, I'm not so sure that I would take Fox over Halliburton. As a matter of fact, I would not take Fox over Halliburton. And the reason why I say that is because Halliburton has all the intangibles that I want in my floor leader. Okay? So I disagree with you. You can take Fox over Hallie, and that's fine. I wouldn't. I would take Halliburton over Fox, but I'm not hating on Fox because I say that. I just like the leadership characteristics of Halliburton. I think you build a team without any doubt around Halliburton. And there were some things that I saw from Fox this year that left me puzzled. So I would not. Personally, I would have Halliburton if I was given the opportunity. All right? We'll see. This one, are the Kings in the playoffs yet if Fox was traded? Remember his value at the time and Holly was kept? Roster would be horrible. Well, you don't know if the roster would be horrible. How could you say the roster would be horrible. What do you think? They're going to give Fox away for nothing? How do you know that? You know? I mean, if Fox was traded, how do you know what they would have gotten back in return? How do you know the roster would have been horrible? Come on. Wake up, would you please? Fox can't hit threes like Tyrese Halliburton. True. Fox is still a good player. I mean, it's not like, the Kings have a player that's not very good at the point. I mean, you got to be realistic about this. Hey, folks, for your plumbing needs and repairs, go to New Works Plumbing. They've got a fix for you. They're available around the clock. Just go to sackserviceplumbing.com or call the number on your screen. New Works Plumbing. They've got a fix for you. Who do you think wins? Is there any way Indiana beats Boston in the playoffs? What do you think that goes? And that Minnesota-Dallas figures to be a really, really good game. Zach says, Grant, in the first 30 to 35 games of the season, you still would take Fox. I remember you saying that. I did say I would take Fox. I still like Fox. You're making it seem like I'm down on Fox. I'm not down on him like I think you're portraying. What I'm saying is, in the totality of this last season, there were some alarming things that I saw in De'Aaron Fox that made me doubt whether he is the guy that can take this team and put him on his back. I'm very skeptical about that right now. So that's where I'm at. Joe says it turned out good for both teams, but just saying, when I think Sacramento Kings, the first thing I think is Grant and Jerry been loyal to the Kings and living 3 hours south of San Antonio. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you. Celtics in 6. I love Fox. This season just seemed off. I would agree with you. Grant, on 1320, they said you called out Bobby Jackson for not taking a shot in the playoffs against the Timberwolves. Well, they got the story wrong. Halliburton is better playing to build around, but Fox is the better closer and can score by doing something other than a sidestep jump shot. Back to Bobby Jackson, I did call him out for not playing in Game 7 against the Timberwolves. He had played 2 months prior on a night devoted to his mom, who had passed away from cancer, and he had a spectacular game. He went through playing every night, routine warm-ups, came on my radio show, which he did every week, the Bobby Jackson Show, and I asked him point blank, if you weren't a free agent, would you play in the game? And he said yes. Bobby did not play in Game 7 because he didn't want to jeopardize his future with an abdominal strain. He made a business decision, and I did call him out because I think he was wrong. And to this day, I think he was wrong. And you know what? Bobby was upset at me. And then Bobby came up to me and said, hey, can I talk to you? And I said, yeah, we had a great talk. I love Bobby Jackson. Love him. I respect the hell out of Bobby. Bobby will be a head coach in the NBA someday. I think Bobby will make a tremendous head coach. Bobby's a no-nonsense guy. After that, Bobby played in my golf tournament. I played in Bobby's golf tournament. I have the utmost respect for Bobby, but I did call him out for not attempting to play in Game 7 after Anthony Peeler had been suspended for punching Kevin Garnett in Game 6. And the Kings lost that Game 7 on the last possession. And I think had Bobby Jackson played, in my heart, I believe the Kings would have won that game. And I actually believe that they would have beat the Lakers in the next round. And I think they would have gone to the NBA Finals. Yep. So there you have it. All right. And by the way, I'm the only one with the balls in Sacramento to make a opinion like that, knowing full well that I was right. To this day, I believe I was right. Bobby even acknowledged so on the radio show. Okay. It's all documented. I wasn't hiding anything. I asked Bobby point blank on my radio show, Bobby, are you not playing because you're a free agent? If you weren't a free agent, would you be playing right now? And he said yes. That's it. So had nothing to do with him not taking a shot against Minnesota. It had him with not playing. Of course, those idiots on 1320, without even knowing, I'm sure they made it into a racial issue, even though, Bobby and I are like this and played in each other's golf tournament every year. And, he appeared on my radio show and we used to play golf together. But they'll make it into a racial issue, Welcome to the world we live in, Riley says, I love Sabonis, 73 double-doubles. I don't understand questioning the trade. 48 and 46 wins, 16-year playoff drought ended. If trade isn't made, the Kings would not have been nearly as successful. Probably right. I mean, you can question it, Al. That's what we do. I mean, it's okay to question it. The Kings only have 3 playoff wins with De'Aaron Fox as their point guard after 7 years. 3. Now, I'm not saying it's all his fault, but you can't just say those numbers don't count. 3. 7 years as De'Aaron Fox as your point guard. You have 3 wins. 3 in the playoffs. I've run into Bobby Jackson a couple of times. Awesome person. He is an awesome person. I love Bobby. Can't say anything bad about the guy. We all went to the funeral of Bobby's mom in North Carolina. We were on the East Coast somewhere. And Rick Adelman had got the plane available. And on an off day, we all flew to, I think it was Salisbury, North Carolina. And every one of us attended the funeral for Bobby's mom. It was a close-knit bunch of guys, that team, I got to tell you. And it wasn't even a question. It was like, this is what we're going to do. And everybody on the team was completely, yes, we're doing this on our day off. We're getting on a plane. We're flying to North Carolina. We're going to support our teammate and our friend. And that's what the attitude of that team was. Yep. I don't know of anyone that didn't like Bobby Jackson. I don't know of one person that didn't respect Bobby Jackson. I mean, I always talk about respect more than like. I don't know of any person during the tenure that Bobby played in Sacramento that did not respect him. Bobby would run through a wall. Bobby was he was a guy you wanted to be around. Was it amazing? So, and I tell you, it's only a matter of time. He's on Philadelphia staff with Nick Nurse. Bobby will get an opportunity to be a head coach, and I think Bobby will be a really good head coach. And I'll be rooting for him when he gets that opportunity. I'll be rooting for the guy, no doubt about that. All right, don't forget, coming up a little bit later, 8 o'clock, Rhino in Sacktown, and yours truly will be right here. We'll be talking about some of these topics and more. So make sure you join us right here at 8 o'clock. I'm trying to think, when you think about some of these moves that are made in a front office and you analyze them, I've always said, it takes 3 years to evaluate a draft. But, you can't evaluate a trade in 3 years when players that are traded are not yet in their prime or just going into the prime. It takes the totality to, like a lot of people thought the Kings made a horrible trade when they traded Billy Owens or when they traded Mitch for Chris. And, again, you got to wait. It's very difficult to make those type of conclusions after 2 full seasons. You just have to wait. All right. All right. Hey, I want to tell you about Bennett's with 3 locations: Sacramento, Roseville, and the West Side Grill, and their value price sips and tastes. And if you're looking for a great spot to go after work, don't forget about their daily happy hour from 2 to 6. All right. You have amazing value price sips and taste. That's right. From 2 to 6, you can enjoy signature cocktails, wines by the glass at unbeatable prices with all options priced under $14, many priced from 6. And folks, it's not just the drinks. They have tremendous share plates. The food there is great. You're going to absolutely love it. So make sure you head to Bennett's, Sacramento, Roseville, the West Side Grill in the Blue Oaks Town Center, Rockland, for their great happy hour, 2 to 6 every day. That's Bennett's. Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com, Bennett'sRestaurants.com for more information. Always enjoy you breaking down sports, Grant. Well, I enjoy the fact that you are here and joining us right here on the stream. If you don't like that, yes, I do have an update on Scott Pollard is doing after the transplant. Very good. I just was talking with Scott a couple of hours ago this morning, and his recent tests were great. His body is not rejecting the heart. It is full steam ahead. He does have some restrictions, such as being outside a lot. I did not know this. You know, I've learned a lot from just watching Scott go through this process. Scott and I literally communicate every day, and I'm not exaggerating. Every day I check in on him. And he has a 400 to 500 greater risk, a 400 to 500% greater risk of getting skin cancer, which I didn't understand, and I had Scott explain that to me. Other things. Scott has to be extremely careful of other aspects of his health now, because with a heart transplant, your immune system is compromised, particularly in the first year. So, for instance, his son, who's a junior in high school, got sick 2 weeks ago, and they put him all the way downstairs in the basement, which is a beautiful basement, by the way. I've stayed down there. I could live down there, actually, because Scott could not be around those type of germs to compromise his health. So he's got to be very careful in a lot of areas. There are others. He's got to be on meds for the rest of his life. Some of the meds that he was taking, his kidney did not react well to. They had to find the right dose. But the main thing is his body is not rejecting the heart. It's accepting the heart. And it's, you know what? He's doing great. He's in good spirits. And again, we were just going back and forth for 10 to 15 minutes earlier today. All right. Said, that's wonderful news. Happy to hear it. It was a good match. The precautions are a fair price to pay for life. Amen. You know what? Scott probably wouldn't mind me sharing this, but he said the same thing today. You know what? He was talking about what they're doing for Father's Day. And he said, and I don't think Scott would mind me saying this, he was talking about the things that he can't do as opposed to the things that he can do. He said, don't get me wrong. I'm happy to be alive, but certain things I'm going to have to do just so I can be part of my family activities, even though I can't participate in the activity itself. That pretty much says it all right there. It's a big adjustment in how you live your life, but he has a life to live thanks to a donor. And that's really the key. Because of a donor, Scott has a new lease on life, and thousands of other people around the world get a new lease on life when people become donors. So, yeah, that pretty much sums it up right there. Coach Brown made a bad decision in Game 7 against the Warriors and Steph Curry. He lit us up. I'm sorry. Can't help but to think the game is rigged, but not as obvious as the Lakers series. How is that game rigged? Because Coach Brown, like, come on, stop it, would you please? If you think the game is rigged, you shouldn't be watching it. You know, huge. One breath at a time is all we can control. Amen. Dave says, be an organ donor. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know. Napes, what did you think of the call on Shea Gilgeous-Alexander at the end of the game? It was a correct call. The player still had the ball in his hands, and he clearly made contact with the arm. That's why when they reviewed it, Tony Brothers, by the way, get Steve Javio off the air, would you please? I've been saying this for years, and I like Steve. I know Steve personally. He was a great ref, but boy, is he horrible. I mean, he's awful. As a rules expert, I mean, horrible. And then, shut up, would you please, so we can hear Tony Brothers make the explanation on the biggest call of the entire series. Shut up. Stop talking, would you please, so we can hear what Tony Brothers is telling us. It's just horrible TV. Horrible TV. Speaking of horrible TV, something that we're going to talk about is the telecast that we saw from ESPN on Game 7. ABC, ESPN. What do you think? Was it biased? Lakers-Kings series rigged. Who's to say they're still not doing it? Then don't watch the games if you think it's rigged. Why would you watch a sport that you think is rigged? Why? Why would you do that for? I wouldn't watch a sport that was rigged. Never. I wouldn't. Never. Don't watch it. Why are you wasting your time? Seriously, why watch it? You know? They want to know my thoughts on the Arizona Coyotes, the relocation. The bottom line, it wasn't working there. They didn't have a quality NHL rink. They didn't have ownership that was going to get it done. It didn't work in Arizona, plain and simple. So my thoughts are, when something doesn't work, like the A's in Oakland, eventually a team is going to move. And it didn't work. And I feel bad for the A's fans that showed up, although there weren't many. I feel bad for fans that invest their time and money and their heart into a franchise. So, Grant, your living room is beautiful. I wish it was my living room. Thank you very much. I'll pass that along to my good buddy, that his living room is beautiful. All right? I mean, seriously though, what's the NHL supposed to do? So now they go to Salt Lake City in a beautiful venue. We'll see if it works or not. I don't have a crystal ball any more than you do. I really don't. But it's anytime a team moves, it's really hard. It's unfortunate. Anytime a team moves, it really is. It's unfortunate. This one. Do I believe that Indiana going to the Eastern Conference Finals means that the Pacers won the Halliburton trade? No, I don't. Would I be able to step into announcing a game right away, or would you be rusty? It's a great question. I wouldn't be as good as I was when I did my last game. Every year, it took me about, it's a great question, 8 quarters, 10 quarters before I got into a rhythm. So you may not know that I was rusty. You may not be able to tell the difference, but I would be able to tell the difference. So it's a great question. It would take me right now, after not announcing an NBA game for 4 years now, it would take me probably 2 full games, maybe 3 full games to get back to where I was. Again, you may not know the difference, but I would know the difference in terms of the thought process in my head, and things that were automatic would not be as automatic. And especially if I was working with a new partner, that would take time. If Jerry and I stepped into a broadcast booth right now, it wouldn't be quite like getting on a bicycle after 4 years, but it wouldn't be that far off. It's a very good question. Very good question. All right. Keep the questions coming. Don't forget that I will be on at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock with Ryan in Sacktown. All right. Good questions. All right. Let's see what else we got. Breen had a terrific line during the telecast during the second half. He says, Indy's shooting percentage has plummeted to 70%. I didn't hear him say that. I was watching the game without sound. So, yeah. That is pretty good. The Pacers did shoot the lights out. They really did. They really shot the lights out. Hey, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. That way, whenever we do content, you will know, you will get notified, and you won't miss anything. Because Ryan and I, we have a lot of shows that are going to be coming up leading up to the draft through free agency. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. Do you think that we use our first round pick or make a trade? They won't use the first round pick, in my opinion. Do I think they'll make a trade? I do think they'll make a trade. If they come back with the same team, they're going to have the same result. Baki, how are you, buddy? Big hello to my friend Grant from Serbia about announcing. I think your new partner would be thrilled, but I'll give you a maximum of only one game to get the old rhythm. Thanks, my friend. I appreciate that. If I were to announce a new game now, I don't understand what you're saying. If I were to announce a new, I don't understand what you're saying, John. All right. How do you think the Kings should trade? Do I think the Kings should trade Fox this season if they're going to do it? And what's his value to you? Yes, I do think if they're going to trade him, they need to trade him this season because of his. You know what? I'll tell you what. I'll address this with Ryan coming up at 8 o'clock because Ryan's got the numbers and he can do the math, and I think we can get some clarity. So, yes, if I'm going to trade De'Aaron Fox, 100%, if I'm going in that direction, I'm trading him this season. Doesn't mean I'm trading him now. I might wait until the trade deadline. But if, as an organization, I feel like we've got to go in a different direction, I'm 100% doing that. Not 90, not 95, 100. Now, do not misconstrue what I'm saying. All right, I'm not on here saying the Kings need to trade De'Aaron Fox. You asked me a question. If they're going to do it, would it be this year? And I would say yes. Okay? I mean, again, I'm not saying they're going to trade or should trade. I'm just saying if they are thinking that way, then yes. Michael says, Grant, your radio show in Sacramento was some of the best sports talk radio in the nation. You are correct. You were the only one in Sacramento with the guts to ask tough questions. Thank you. I really appreciate that. 26 years. 26 years. Love doing my show. That's why I still do this type of a show, because I like to talk to everyone, you know. Felix says, Grant, seeing how great of a leader that Anthony Edwards is at just 22 makes me nervous. I wish Fox led the way. You know, they're just different. Very difficult to compare players. So, yeah, I get it. That's why I think if Sacramento doesn't make a bold move or two in the offseason, they're going to be right back to where they were this year, and that's probably not making the playoffs. And guess what? The Spurs are going to be that team again with Victor Wembanyama. Just disappointed the Knicks couldn't get it done. At least the Wolves are still in it. Well, you know, if the Knicks had all their players, they would have won against the Pacers. They had a healthy Anunoby, they probably would have won. Just one of those things, you know. All right, again, don't forget, 8 o'clock, right back here with Ryan in Sacktown. Love everyone's questions and everything else. And I'll end it on this. Would this be the best season to trade Sabonis as well? If we wanted to, of course. Don't have any idea why you would want to trade Sabonis. That would make no sense at all to me. No sense. See you at 8 o'clock. Right back here on If You Don't Like That. Appreciate you all.